Well, Lola, this is your boy Tico Tren, and this is going to be about she a hoe. That's what this podcast is about. She a hoe because she belongs to the streets. No, but this is typically what I'm going to talk about in this live podcast because somebody asked me to do this podcast about like various women. I look at it like this: if it don't matter what your woman is or what your woman be like or how she act or how anything. If she likes attention, she a hoe. If the attention doesn't necessarily have to be you and she enjoys it and she thrives in it, she a hoe. At the end of the day, she's just a hoe. And like I always like the famous words of Clayton Thomas, she is a hoe because she's a hoe for attention at the end of the day. And this is what a lot of people miss, and this is what a lot of men get themselves into. This type of relationship a lot of men get themselves into. Because at the end of the day, if your woman likes attention, no matter who it is and what it is, and if it's not just yours, then you shouldn't be dating her. Because at the end of the day, a relationship is 50-50, and that attention should be coming from you, not everybody else. Because the problem with relationships today is you got a bunch of women out here trying to find external validation from people that have no bearing or have no no what's the word I'm looking investment or no importance in their relationship for the most part. This is what women do. They basically find validation from outside. It's basically the same thing. It also the things that also are fall into this category would be women who tend to women who tend to date. I mean, women who tend to get dating advice from people who are get dating advice from people or complain about what's going on in a relationship to other people when in fact you should be talking to the person in that relationship about your relationship. Those people have no investment in your relationship doing good. They have investment in your relationship doing bad. This is where women fuck up. And the sad part about that is a lot of women tend to listen to their broke single friend basically. Has never really been in a relationship, can't even define a relationship, don't even know what a relationship look like, can't even spell relationship, and they want to take advice from these type of people for the most part. And any woman that's willing to do that is a hoe because at that point in time, you're looking for validation and attention outside of your relationship. Because by bashing your relationship or bashing what's going on in your relationship, or by talking about what's going on in your relationship to other people, you're basically looking for validation and attention outside your relationship. That's typically how that works. You want validation, that's attention. You want people to notice you, that's attention. Is basically you want attention from people outside your relationship for the most part. So at the end of the day, what happens with that is you a hoe. She a hoe. But typically how that works is, I mean, don't get me wrong, that works for both sides, men and women. If you're looking for validation outside, because there's a lot of men growing up by single moms these days that be in their emotions all the fucking time, and they wonder why they don't get or have the they wonder why they don't get or have the um get the attention or have the attention that they want or deserve basically for several reasons. First off, what you can't do is be like, well, don't never take your relationship problems outside your relationship for the most part. Step one, don't do that. Don't do that at all. Don't ever never take your relationships outside your relationship. Never take your relationship problems outside your relationship for the most part. Um, when you do that, you're basically inviting trouble and problems into your relationship. And what you can't do is be like, well, this, that, and the other, and yeah, 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 and this, that, and the other. Well, no, because if you're going to sit there and talk shit on your significant other, that pretty much is a good outlook on how you view your significant other for the most part. That means you view your significant other very negatively, and you can't say you don't, because if you're willing to talk about your significant other to people outside of your relationship, you literally view your significant other in a bad light. It's just simple. It's that simple. So you can't say that, well, no, I was just getting advice. No, you weren't just getting advice. You literally just disrespected your significant other. There's no such thing as I was getting advice when you disrespect your significant other. It's just facts. Because there's a lot of people out here that'll say some stupid shit about their significant other, and they'll still claim, well, I was just trying to figure out what's going on, or get some advice on how to better my relationship. No, you weren't really trying to get advice on how to better your relationship. You were trying to get advice on how to leave your relationship. You were trying to get a validation and attention on how to leave your relationship. It's that simple. Because at the end of the day, what you can't tell me is, well, this, that, and the other Tico, and this, that, and the other Tico. Well, no, no. You just want a validation. Take that L and sit your ass down, basically. And it's stuff like this that just blows my mind when I hear people do and say stupid shit. Like, well, Tico, it's different. It's different, Tico. It's different. No, it's not different at all. It's not different. It's not different at all in the least bit. What the hell? Getting backplay? My earphones? Damn. But yeah, typically how that works is, at the end of the day, you cannot say that you're doing this, that, and the other, when in fact you are doing this, that, and the other. The problem with that is how it's perceived and how people perceive you for the most part. You can't say, well, Tico this and and this, that, and the other. Well, no, you can't do that. You can't do that in the least bit. That's not how this works. You're in a relationship. You have to do your relationship. You have to respect your relationship for the most part. What you can't do is be like, well, Tico, well, I was having relationship problems, so I kind of figure I could ask somebody else out my relationship. Well, no, you should be talking to your significant other about your relationship. If you have problems with your relationship, you talk to the motherfucker that you're in a relationship with. You don't bring in other people to your relationship, because that's going to do nothing more than fuck up your relationship. So at the end of the day, let you be man or woman, if you need attention outside your relationship or validation outside your relationship, you a hoe. It's that simple. So and that's the sad part about it. And a lot of people fuck up their relationship and throw their relationship in the trash, listening to trash ass people, basically. And I already hear the women, well, I can give advice. Even though I'm not in a relationship, I can give advice. No, the fuck you can't. You can't give advice. You can give advice on how to fuck up a relationship. You can't give advice on how to be in a good relationship if you've never been in one your damn self. Especially all the ones who date these motherfuckers that beat their ass. You can't give advice on somebody else's relationship when they're not going through the same situation that you went through in your relationship. That would be like me giving advice to somebody in an abusive relationship. I've never been in an abusive relationship. The most I can tell you is you shouldn't be in that relationship. Now, if you want to stay, I'm the worst person to ask for advice on how to stay in an abusive relationship, because I'll tell you to leave. So that's typically how that works for the most part. When you really want something, the people who are there for you are going to tell you the opposite for the most part. Even if it's right or wrong, you're going to get the opposite answer on what you really need to hear for the most part. Unless you're one of the women that want to find some fault in anything that happens in your relationship, you're pretty much going to get the opposite answer that you actually need to actually do in your relationship. Because at the end of the day, there's only two people in your relationship. At the end of the day, when you wake up next to that person. Your best friend's not there. It's not your mom and dad. It's that person that you're in a relationship with. So if you could sleep next to the motherfucker, have sex with the motherfucker, kiss and suck all over the motherfucker, why can't you talk to the motherfucker? And it's just stuff like this. And it's things like this that just blows my mind when it comes to females. When it comes to certain shit like this, it blows my mind to see that motherfuckers can't maintain a relationship. And it doesn't blow my mind, because it's not shocking to me that women don't know how to maintain a relationship for the most part, and they think it's okay that and then they wonder why at the end of the relationship when it's over. Like, I don't understand why this happened. Well, the sad part about it is, when it comes down to it, there's this thing called cause and effect. Or For every action, there's a reaction for the most part. So if you do something in a relationship and you if you do something in a relationship and a person doesn't trust you, if you actually do something wrong in a relationship, or if you do something very suspect in a relationship and a person doesn't trust you, it's not the fact that they're being overbearing or don't trust you. Yeah, they don't trust you because you did some suspect shit, basically. It'd be no different if I was to rob a bank with no mask on and I got the cops rolling around my house. Why you treat me like a criminal? Well, nigga, you just robbed a bank. That's why we treating you like a criminal right now, because you just robbed a bank, basically. That's typically how that works. So if you're a woman and you do some suspect shit in a relationship, you can't be talking about, well, he's being trying to be controlling and he's don't trust me. Well, you just did some suspect shit. Therefore, this is the actions that are taken. You can't do suspect shit in a relationship and expect everything to be okay. Like a good example of that is there's women who would say, uh, I cheated, yes, but I'm not with the person. I don't understand why he doesn't want to take me back. Bitch, what? You cheated and you mad because he don't want to take you back. Or do they use any type of excuse to downplay their actions that they do? Because the sad part about that, women will always downplay what they do. A woman is always going to downplay whatever the hell it is that she got going on, just so she won't look like the bad guy, basically. And they'll basically paint their significant other in a bad light by saying, I don't understand why he doesn't want me back. I didn't do anything wrong. You cheated on him with his best friend. Well, well, it was his best friend, so he should understand. No, you cheated on him with his best friend, and they use in a shit like this. It's all about the language, because basically, a what trying to understand like women are basically like lawyers who use big words, lawyers or judges who use big words to try to confuse you in court. Basically, that's all it really is. How they word things is how they word things on purpose like that, so they can try to confuse you or make it sound like it's not that bad. It's really not that bad. Like, it's basically like a big spin tactic. Women are very good at spin tactics, basically spinning shit and making it sound like it's not that bad for the most part. Like, a woman could tell you, well, despite the fact that I cheated on my husband 9 times, it was his fault, and yeah, because he didn't give me what I needed 9 times though. Not 9 times though. 9 times though. And that's I'm still focused on the 9 times, and you're talking about he didn't give you what you needed 9 times though, because I'm always going to approach the elephant in the room, because like, okay, that's nice 9 times. Okay, so any of those 9 times when you decided to cheat, did you even talk to the man? Did you talk to him about it? Did you talk to him about, maybe, changing up his game in the bedroom? Maybe, did you try dressing sexy? No, 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 no. You told him you had a headache the whole entire time? Yeah. And then you went out and had sex, but he's still faithful, but he doesn't want to be with you no more? Interesting. I'm still trying to figure out why you're baffled by this after you cheated on your boyfriend 9 times. Like, and it's stuff like that I always look at when it comes to women. Like, they talk about, it was no big deal. I cheated on him this many times because he wasn't giving me what I need. Wait, back up. And you'll hear people say, well, Tico, you shouldn't focus on that. You shouldn't focus on the fact that she said she cheated on her boyfriend 9 times. No, we gonna focus on this shit, because this bitch got some serious issues, basically, that need to be addressed. She got some serious issues that need to be addressed. You can't do shit and then be like, well, it's that person's fault that I cheated. At the end of the day, yeah, geez, 9 times, I know. And I'm actually talking about a real person. Not geez, 9 times. So, like, at the end of the day, what you can't tell me as a friend or an onlooker that you cheated on your boyfriend 9 times and it's his fault because he's not giving you what you need or what you want. And the question is, I'd always have for these heifers is, so any of those X number, a certain number here times that you cheated on your significant other, did you talk to your significant other by any chance about maybe changing up the bedroom? Maybe Maybe did you try wearing something sexy? Did you try like maybe like giving them a back rub, maybe like feeding them, maybe like going to Victoria's Secrets or something like that? Did you think of like maybe drawing them a bath or maybe getting all romantic with the man or something like that? You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? Like women don't think of shit like this, and they go straight to like nuke a relationship, but then they want to get mad at a man for not wanting to stay with them. But the neat thing about women that men don't realize is, especially a lot of men in the manosphere too, like you find out who this heifer really is, especially if you date somebody. Because like I look at it like this: a woman's always going to a woman always going to send her representative out there, no matter what, at the beginning of a relationship for the most part. A woman's always going to send her representative out there for herself. And typically how that works is you're basically dealing with a woman's representative. Now, a man, you're actually dealing with the actual man for the most part. Unless that nigga's a lying sack of shit, you're pretty much dealing with the actual man. Whereas a woman, you're dealing with a representative for the most part. And that's typically how it works. At the end of the day, like, because I know men don't say, well, I got this, that, and the other, and this, that, and the other. And bitches be falling for this shit. Like, I know this woman that's dating this man who supposedly has a Mercedes S550, but it's been in the shop their whole entire relationship. It's been in the shop this whole entire relationship, mind you. And she's still eating this shit up. She's dating this man because she thinks he has a vehicle that he doesn't even have. And I go to her one day. So did you ever see his car? No. Did you see a key? Did you see a Mercedes key on his key ring? Well, no, he says he hangs it up on the door. He hangs it up on his thing, and he's just driving this car because there's no point in putting the keys together. If you've ever seen my keys, I have 6 keys I got 6 car keys on my keychain, on my key ring. 6 car keys on my key ring. You never know when shit's going to go down, or you might need a spare for some shit, basically. Why would you leave a spare key at home when, in fact, you might need it out in the open? Because at the end of the day, I look at it like this. Both my oldest daughters both have vehicles. I have their spare key on my key ring. It's not my vehicle. It's just in case they get themselves locked outside their vehicle. You see what I'm saying? Or they lose their keys for their vehicle, which I hope they don't lose their keys, because they will lose their vehicle privileges in a heartbeat. Because daddy paid way too much fucking money for them 2 vehicles for them to lose their keys and somebody to possibly steal it. And daddy would be very pissed. Make me a sandwich. But the sad part about that is it's shit like this that women actually believe and eat up. And they say it's game. Well, no, but the sad part about this, they'll accept somebody lying to them about might possibly be having a Mercedes S550 when they don't have one. But the minute you mess up on one thing as a regular ass man, you're automatically a liar in their eyes. But they're dating somebody who's lying about having a big house with a swim pool and a Mercedes S550. But yeah, you give them your number, you mess up on one number, you say, I'm sorry, I messed up. You're automatically painted as a liar in a woman's eyes. But this guy right here, who has the fake S550 and a big ass house with a swim pool, is telling the truth. You see what I'm saying? You see how that works? You see how that works when it comes to women. That's women logic. But typically how that works. What's up, Americus? What's up, Free Agent Pepe? What's up, Mr. Forma? What's up, Mixtown to Win? Okay, in the house. But typically that's how that shit works. That shit works like that for that reason. And the sad part about it is I watch people do this shit on a regular basis. And it's sad. Like, why are you doing this? Why are you putting yourself in this situation? Why are you remotely giving somebody power that don't need to have power over you? And it's shit like that just blows my mind when it comes to people. It's like, so you believe this? Why? Why is this even a thing? Why are we even having this conversation when you're basically dating somebody who is lying to you? But your women intuition ain't telling you that this motherfucker is lying to you, despite the fact that you've been in a relationship for about 16 months, and you have yet to see the Mercedes S550, but you believe this motherfucker wholeheartedly that he has this Mercedes S550. Like, think about that. You believe him that he has this Mercedes S550 wholeheartedly. You've never seen the S550, nor have you seen his house, nor have you seen a key that resembles that he has a Mercedes S550. And that's typically how that works. So basically what that means to me is you're basically hoeing for the chance that you get to ride around in that S550, which makes you a hoe for status, basically. And it's stuff like that that just blows my mind when I hear women say stuff and I listen to women saying stupid shit. Because at the end of the day, here's what happens. A good example of that is, like I said at one point when I think Mr. Foreman was just in here, women basically, when you actually start dating a woman, women send their representative out there. For the most part, men send themselves out there, whereas women send their representatives out there. So you're basically getting a representative of who you're about to date for the most part. You're not getting a real person. They're not really real. It's basically a fake hologram until the real person actually comes out. That's typically how that works. You're basically dating a fake person until the real person comes out. And that's pretty, and it just blows my mind to watch people say stupid shit like that. Like, what you can't tell me is that you're dating somebody who has a Mercedes S550, but you ain't never seen a Mercedes S550. It just blows my mind to listen to people say stupid shit like that. Like, at the end of the day, you a hoe for the off chance that you want to ride in that Mercedes S550. You a hoe. She a hoe. She a hoe for the S550. That's typically how that works. But at the end of the day, at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, you also got to take in consideration too. Like, if you're in a relationship, and this goes for men and women, mainly women, because women do this way more than men do. If you're in a relationship, the people who you're asking for advice that's outside of your relationship are not there for your best interest and are always going to tell you the opposite. Like I said, it'd be a good example of that would be me. If you were to ask me, if you were in an abusive relationship and you were trying to find out ways to actually stay in that abusive relationship, that would be the worst person to ask for advice how to stay in an abusive relationship, because typically I'm going to tell you that you need to get out of there and you need to, you need to be safe for the most part. I'm not going to tell you how to stay in an abusive relationship. I'm going to tell you that you need to get out of that abusive relationship. That's not the answer that you want to hear. What you want to hear is actually, well, how do I make them not want to beat my ass? Is basically what you want to hear. I can't give you that answer. Only way I can give you that answer is by telling you to leave them. Typically, that's how that works when it comes to your actual girlfriends or your friends, for the female's friends or female's girlfriends. At the end of the day, they're going to tell you the exact opposite of what's actually going on, because they've never had a relationship. They can't spell relationship. They don't know how to define a relationship. And their definition of a relationship is, Facebook dating, basically, where they go, well, I'm in a relationship this week. He's a great man. He's this, that, and the other. Thursday rolls around. We broke up, girl. He was cheating on me. This, that, and the other. This, that, and the other. Wait. What? You just got in a relationship, and all of a sudden you're broken up now? Then, Sunday rolls around. Oh, I met this good man. He was at the club. This, that, and the other. This, that, and the other. This, that, and the other. Wait, what, nigga? We in a relationship. We in love. We talk about marriage. We talk about this. What? Then Tuesday roll around. Oh, he was a badass guy. He cheated on me. This, that, and the other. Taking applications for men. Then 3 days later, they're back in a relationship with that guy that cheated on them. Like, let that shit sink in. That's typically women in a nutshell. Like, if you're doing good for a woman in a relationship, they find every reason not to be in a relationship with you. If you're doing a woman wrong in a relationship, They'll find every way, every reason to be in a relationship with that man. For the most part, is the best way I could put it. Basically, women are hoes when it comes to attention and or attention seeking or anything outside the relationship. Because at the end of the day, if they're in an abusive relationship, they could bankroll that into sympathy and or you know they could bankroll that into sympathy for attention outside the relationship. Basically, he beat my ass, this, that, and the other, sob story. Facebook, Instagram timeline. He beat my ass, this, that, and the other. Everybody, you get a bunch. You got a bunch of men over there white knighting for ass with the mean emojis and shit like that. Like you, oh girl, if I was with you, I would never do that to you. Yeah, the point is, she's not going to be with your dumb ass. She just wants your fucking time and attention. So she's hoeing it up for your attention. Basically, she's basically hoeing it up for your attention. She's basically getting sympathy for your attention. The only thing real in this whole entire thing is the fact that she got her ass whooped. Now she's on social media letting you know. The chances of her leaving that guy are slim to none. It's just facts. Some of y'all simp ass motherfuckers to knock it the fuck off because you're not going to get with that person. You'll just be the tampon on the shoulder to cry on for attention and validation. Because at the end of the day, she just want to be validated that she's in a bad relationship. So you can be like, yeah, it's okay, girl. It's okay, girl. If I was your man, this, that, and the other. That's all she wants. That's all she wants to hear. She wants you to basically, give her softball compliments, basically, that she's a good woman so she can go back to that fucked up relationship. Because I've noticed when it comes to relationships, if a woman's with a good guy, her friends will get jealous and try to fuck up her relationship. First off, why are you talking to people who are not in a relationship and about advice on relationships? Like, and the sad part about that is, the funny thing about that, most times when a woman asks another woman for one of her friends for a relationship, it's the hoe that's banging everything out there. Like if you know your best friend, if you know the best friend that you're asking for advice on relationships is hoeing it up and sleeping with anything and everything, at what point is she good at relationship advice? She a hoe. Why are you asking a hoe for relationship advice? You don't ask a hoe for relationship advice. That'd be like asking me, Tico, Tren, how can I be a better white man? Nigga, what? You're white. Ask somebody else that's white. Like, you can't ask me how to be a better white man. Like, I don't know how to be a white man. Ask somebody that's actually a white man and how you be a better white man for the most part. And it's just stuff like that just blows my mind. It's just shit like that just blows my mind. Because at this point in time, if your significant other can't talk to you about anything, and she pulls that, well, you already know. The minute she says that shit to you, well, you should know, or you should already know, she hoeing for attention outside the relationship, and you should break up with her. That's exactly how I feel about that. She's hoeing for attention outside the relationship, and at that point in time, that's when you know she just fucked up, and you should leave her ass. It's just facts, because she's hoeing for attention outside the relationship at that point. Because you can't tell me that I should know, or your significant other should already know, when you didn't say anything to your significant other about it. Your significant other isn't a man reader. Your significant other isn't David Blaine, nor is he John Edwards, nor is he fucking Celine Dion's not Celine Dion, that one chick, Psychic Network's friends and shit like that. No, he doesn't read minds. A man only responds to tangible shit. A tangible threat, basically. If the threat's there, he sees it, he squashes it. End of story. That's the problem with women, because at the end of the day, they don't want shit fixed. They just want shit to complain about. So you want to be a hoe for attention and validation of other people. That's typically how that works. You want to be a hoe for the attention and validation of other people. Because you need that attention. You need that validation. That's typically how that works. So at the end of the day, if a woman, and this goes for all men, if a woman says to you, I shit you not, well, you should already know. Well, you should already be packing your bags and getting the fuck up out of that relationship. It's just fucking facts. It's just fucking facts. If she goes to you, well, you should know. Well, right then and there, that lets you know that bitch just fucked up. And now she's getting validation outside the relationship. That's typically how that works. That's typically how that works. If she's telling you in a relationship, if she even twists her fucking lips to say to you, well, you should already know, or I can't believe you don't know. We've talked about this. No, bitch, we didn't talk about this. If she says that shit to you, stop her right there. Like, no, we never talked about this. We didn't talk about this in the least bit. I'm gonna need you to actually tell me what's going on. Well, you should already know. Well, you should tell her, well, you just fucked up. You just fucked up. Therefore, this relationship's over. Well, I don't understand why it's over. Because I know it's over because you're trying to make it over, so I'm ending it before you. There's nothing to work on. There's nothing that needs to be worked on. This shit is over. Pull a pinky on her. This shit is over. Pinky from Friday after next. Say it again, nigga. Say it again. Say it again. And this shit is over. So anytime she says some shit like that to you, basically pull a pinky. Bitch, say it again. Bitch, say it again. And this shit is over. Basically, pull that shit on her. Don't let her pull that shit on you. Be like, well, you should already know. Then pull a pinky on her. Say another motherfucking word, and this shit is over. Yeah, just basically pull the whole entire pinky scene on her from Friday. That's typically how you got to do it. Because I look at it like this: if she's going to keep on playing like that, you got to actually be willing to put your foot down. And that's typically how that works. You're not those people. You're not Professor Xavier. You're not Cleo. You shouldn't have to read tarot cards to figure out what's going on in a relationship. A motherfucker should be adult enough to basically tell you what's going on in a relationship. If shit is off, shit is off. Talk about it like grown ass adults. Basically, don't be trying to make up excuses on not talking about it. Don't try to make up excuses on that he should know. No, that nigga fixes shit. If the shit is tangible and it's sitting as solid and it's sitting in front of him, like a good example of a man. He's driving down the road. His car breaks down. There's a problem. He can see the problem. He can sense the problem. Well, he can see the problem because the fact of the matter is that his car's not starting or his engine's not turning. He can see that problem. That's a tangible problem to a man. He gets out his car. He pops the hood. He sees what's going on. He sees if his timing belt might be broke. He checks everything. He checks the oil. He checks everything else. He checks the coolant fluid. He checks everything under the hood so he can actually diagnose what the fuck's going on with the problem. He has tangible proof that something's wrong so he can actually go on and fix it. If he can't fix it himself, or if he doesn't have the tools right then and there on the side of the road to fix it, he calls AAA to help him fix it. It's that simple. It's that simple. That's basically a man for you in a nutshell. He sees it, he hears it, he fixes it. He sees it, he hears it, he notices it, and he fixes it for the most part. He can't fix some invisible shit. You can't fix shit that don't exist, basically. If the shit don't exist, there's nothing to fix. If you know what I mean. And that's typically how that works. So, if you're in a relationship with a woman, and the minute she twists her lips to say to you, well, you should already know. Well, you should know me by now, or you should know that you did something wrong. No, bitch, I don't know what the fuck I did. Bitch, I'm gonna need you to open your mouth like a grown-ass adult. And that's exactly how you need to talk to motherfuckers, because motherfuckers be thinking you crazy, and basically, that sad part, when they use that shit, we talk about this in the Manosphere a lot. When they use that shit, that's basically them gaslighting on a basic level. Well, you should already know. Bitch, you gaslighting now. Bitch, shut the fuck up and say what's on your mind. That's exactly how I feel about women that say that shit. If they say that shit to you, that relationship needs to fucking end. And the sad part about that, whenever you say, you know what, I'm done with this, get your shit and get the fuck out. Or pull a pinky on her. From next Friday, basically. See how fast her attitude changes towards you. Well, no, well, that's a bit extreme. That's a bit extreme. You don't need to break. We don't need to break up. We just need to fix this problem. Okay, what the fuck is the problem, bitch? What the fuck is the problem? The minute she says you should already know. Go to your closet, pull out that luggage, start packing her shit, and start putting it towards the door. I bet you that heifer opens up her mouth and says, "Well, oh well, this is the problem, and you work too much." And that bitch will open up like a fucking a can that just got opened up by a can opener. That's typically how that works. Like we not going to be doing this stonewalling shit in my house. We not finna do this shit in my house because at the end of the day, it don't matter. It don't matter if she thinks it's her house. It's your house, and it's your house being disrespected, and it's your house that's under attack at this point in time. And if your house is going to be under attack, you might as well kick the motherfucker out that's Trojan horse and motherfuckers in your house. That's typically how I feel about it. If motherfuckers is Trojan horse and your motherfuckers in your house, and that's typically what women do, they Trojan horse people in your house by outsourcing the problems in your relationship to other people. They're basically Trojan horsing people in your house. It'd be no different than that one war, I forget, was it Troy? Yeah, where they basically put a Trojan horse outside the gate. They brought it in. They all came out and they burned down the whole fucking city. That's typically what your woman is doing. If she's in a relationship with you and she's acting a fool like that, she's basically trying to Trojan horse and burn down your fucking city. That's just facts. There's no other way around it. There's no argument for it. That's basically what she's doing. So don't never let a woman basically Trojan horse your relationship because that's devastating to your relationship. And that's typically what she's doing. And it is very infantile, Americans. It is very infantile. So never let a woman basically do that shit. Make her act like a grown ass adult. Because I look at it like this: if my daughters can speak up and say what's on their fucking mind, you as a grown ass woman should be able to speak up and say what's on your motherfucking mind. If my daughters could come to me and say, "Well, Daddy, I don't like the fact that you put me on punishment for this reason," and my daughters will say some shit like that to me, and I go, "You do realize you were on punishment for that reason, right?" Well, I understand, but I think that the punishment is a bit harsh. Well, dear, don't you know better? Yes. Uh, it'll basically. Well, I do know better, and I was raised right, but I think the punishment might be a bit harsh. Well, I'm sorry, dear, you know better, so you got to take this punishment. It's typically what I would say to my daughters, basically. Like this is how this. You already know. This is how this works. You messed up there. You got to suffer the consequences. That's typically how that works. And people get messed up by that shit because, like, I understand why you put your daughters on punishment like that. Well, because my daughters know better. My daughters just didn't meet me. My daughter's been in my life. I've been in my daughter's life their whole entire lives, and they know how I parent. I'm not trying to raise no hooligans or hoes, basically. I'm trying to raise respectable women of society, basically. Respectable, upstanding citizens that are women of society for the most part. I'm not trying to raise the next generation of hoes, hookers, and feminists or strippers for the most part. I'm trying to raise some decent women. Yeah. Well, the thing with PUAs, like I said, they fall under the category when I was talking about that you kind of sort of missed in a thing that when I said there are a lot of women raised by single mothers who act like bitches. Hell, there's a lot of men that weren't raised by single mothers that had a strong woman in the house. They had two parents that act like bitches too, and that tends to be your PUAs for the most part. They talk down to people because they want to shame people because they're basically bitches. They're bitches in a male body. At this point in time, when I see men like that, even with all this shit going on with the transgender shit, I believe those men should go get their organs taken off. I believe those men should get their dicks taken off, and they should get vaginas, and they should get a wig and take estrogen because they should be who they are. That's typically how that works. That's typically how that works. Because at the end of the day, anybody that can sit here and talk shit on men and try to use shaming tactics is a bitch to me, and they should go get gender reassignment off the bat. So if you're sitting here trying to shame people and then sitting here crying, making long ass videos on people because they hurt your fifis because they're talking about you, you should go transition into a woman. That's exactly how I feel about it. Now, I'm normally against that shit, but any man that can sit here and bitch online about other men should go transition into a woman. In my eyes, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck at all. If you're going to sit here and bitch about other men or bitch about like cry about like, well, I think it's wrong and I got millions of dollars in assets. Yeah, you got millions of dollars in property. That doesn't transition into millions of dollars in actual money. When you actually collect all the money from those properties, it's not $1 million. It might be worth $1 million, but you'll never see $1 million. Fundamental difference. Any person can pretty much figure that out. And the sad part about that is when it comes down to it, like the reason why people talk shit on Sigma males is there's two types of people that talk shit on Sigma males. The ones are people who are trying to act like they're alpha, who are not alpha, who got to come up with some name like bulldog mindset to actually validate who he actually is because he knows he's not an alpha. It's basically like that Cat Williams joke. Everybody wants to be a Rolls Royce Phantom, and like a Chrysler 300 looks like a Rolls Royce Phantom up until a Rolls Royce Phantom actually rolls up beside it. That's typically how that works. A Chrysler 300 looks like a Rolls Royce Phantom up until a Rolls Royce Phantom pulls up beside it. So what I'm basically saying is that nigga acts like an alpha until an alpha rolls up beside him. It's that simple. So that nigga's not an alpha. That's why he calls himself bulldog mindset. Think about it. What's a bulldog? What the fuck a bulldog do? It's a bulldog. It got short ass, stubby ass legs. It ain't doing shit. It can't catch you. If it does bite you, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna stuck your hand all the way the fuck down there to basically get bit by a bulldog. The sad part about that, you can actually punt a bulldog like 50 feet. I don't suggest it, but you can actually punt a bulldog 50 feet. Don't do it though. But bulldogs ain't shit, basically. Bulldogs will never be shit. Bulldogs will never. I mean, granted, I did go to an alma mater that actually had a bulldog, but that school ended up not being shit because they pretty much did some bullshit, basically. Bulldogs aren't shit. Hell, I even own a bulldog. I can tell you everything about that bulldog. Bulldogs have breathing problems. They die. They're more likely to die from breathing problems because of their smashed in faces. They don't get sometimes they don't get the proper oxygen. They're more likely to have a shorter lifespan. It's just facts. So to name yourself after something with a bunch of defects lets me know that you ain't shit. To name yourself after something with a bunch of defects lets me know you ain't shit off the bat. You're going to name yourself after an animal with breathing problems, joint problems, sometimes back problems. Like, how's that make sense? That has a huge disadvantage in life. You're going to name yourself after that. What's up, Trex? What's up, Baron? That's the funny part about that. Like, you're basically naming yourself after an ankle biter, basically. You're naming yourself after an ankle biter. Now, it'd be one thing if you named yourself Pitbull. We'd be like, okay, cool. Now I can respect that. But you named yourself after a bulldog. That'd be like naming yourself Chihuahua. Really, nigga? Your name is Chihuahua now. Like, we supposed to respect you with a name named Chihuahua, like a name like Chihuahua. Like, really, dude? And the only reason why people think that bulldogs are or look like anything is because they look like they have an attitude all the damn time, basically. That's about it. At the end of the day, a bulldog ain't shit. It just basically looks dangerous. But when you see it, you sit there and laugh at it like it's a fucking joke, basically. Like, legit. Bulldogs ain't shit, basically. Bulldogs ain't shit. They'll never be shit. They'll never be scary. no matter how bad they bark, because at the end of the day, they basically have to bite you, and they'll bite your ankle. And at the end of the day, if they bite your ankle, 9 times out of 10, you have so much bone there, you're going to react very quickly. And when you go to shake it, it's going to fly right off your ankle. That's typically how that works. Like, it's a bulldog. It bites you. Okay? Your natural reaction is to shake your leg if it bites your leg. You shake your leg and it bites your leg. The same thing goes for a chihuahua that bites your pant leg. You basically shake your pant leg and it falls off. That's basically how that works. So at the end of the day, I would not want to be called a bulldog because a bulldog ain't shit. That's basically saying, I'm a chihuahua. You okay to Taco Bell? Basically, that's what you're basically telling me when you call yourself a bulldog. It's a fake title. And basically, I made a video about this, it being a fake title because you can't live up to the real title of an alpha. That's pretty much what that is. That's the type of person that talks shit on Sigmas. But the sad part about that is Sigmas is the type of niggas that'll come around you and take your shit. Sigmas, here's a good example of a Sigma. An alpha is basically the guy out there in front talking shit, acting stupid. The Sigma is the person who actually runs the shit behind the scenes. Good example of that in modern day life. The President of the United States. He just signs shit, basically. He's basically the face of the country. The president or prime minister. He's basically just the face of the country. He basically does all this shit. His signature is basically important because they basically just need his signature for the most part. However, they don't really need his signature if he's MIA or missing or incapacitated. They always got the vice president to pretty much fill in for him. So in all technicality, the president is basically an alpha. Now, what people forget to realize and what people forget to actually analyze is the House and Senate, they're actually Sigmas. Because no matter what the president wants to do, it still has to go to the House and Senate to be approved. If the House and Senate vote against it, it's not happening, no matter how much the president wants it. That's typically how that works for the most part. That's typically how that works. The president is alpha, the House and Senate are Sigmas. They run shit behind the scenes. And before people get stupid, how many bills have the president passed without the House and Senate? He don't pass bills without the House and Senate because the House and Senate has to vote on that shit. So the real power is in the House and Senate. It don't matter how much your signature is needed. You still need to vote at the House and Senate to actually make this right for the most part. That's typically how that works. So that's basically an alpha in a nutshell for you. He's basically the person, the front man basically for every fucking thing. He's the front man. So the real man he's basically alphas basically these days are basically the women of yesterday. Typically. Alphas of these days are the women of yesterdays. Because at the end of the day, even though they claim that alphas are so great, an alpha basically needs attention from everybody to actually validate that he's actually an alpha. He needs that attention. He needs everybody's admiration to actually look at him and go, he's an alpha. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? Like, if you're not paying him no mind, like a good example of that is if, like all these popular people that we got in media, basically, that they refer to as alphas, if nobody bought Jay-Z's album, would he even be an alpha? If nobody bought his album, would he still be an alpha? No, he wouldn't. We wouldn't know who the fuck Jay-Z is. Nor would we know who Beyonce is if nobody bought her albums or nobody bought Destiny Child's albums. We wouldn't know who none of these motherfuckers is if they wouldn't have got that right break. And the sad part about that, their break basically came on the fact that everybody realized that they got something that I want. That's what makes you alpha. When somebody realizes that you got something that you want, you need validation. An alpha basically needs validation to actually confirm that he's actually an alpha, because he can't be an alpha without everybody else's approval. He can talk about I'm an alpha, but if nobody's really paying attention to him, it's basically like that saying: if a tree falls in the woods, doesn't make it, and you're like a million miles away, does it make a sound? Well, yeah, but we still didn't hear it. It does make a sound, but if we're a million miles away, do we actually know the tree actually fell in the first place? That's typically an alpha for you, for the most part. That's typically an alpha for you in a nutshell. Did it really fall? Did the tree really fall, though? You said if a tree fall, but the question is, did a tree fall? But we're a million miles away, so we won't never know that unless we get somebody to go investigate it. You see what I'm saying? That's typically an alpha in a nutshell for you. And the sad part about that, people always run around saying, I want to be an alpha, I want to be this. Basically, you want to be validated. You want to be validated because at the end of the day, an alpha needs a beta to validate that he's an alpha. He basically needs beta bitch boys to basically validate that he's actually an alpha because he needs people that's willing to follow him. You see what I'm saying? That's typically how that works. He needs people to actually follow him. Pretty much, yeah, DACA, right? DACA, right? See how that panned out? That's pretty much how that works for the most part. An alpha always needs validation. He always needs validation to be an alpha. He needs somebody to co-sign him being an alpha. And the sad part about being an alpha is, like I said, an alpha is only an alpha. Oh, what's up, Corey? Still, I forgot to mention your name. An alpha is only an alpha up until a real alpha or somebody that's more alpha than that alpha shows up. That's typically how that works. Because at the end of the day, there's a lot of motherfuckers who run around here act like they're alphas, but they're really not alphas. Because I know some people who are actually alphas, basically, who can actually outshine a room with anybody in it. Outshine a room with anybody in it. It don't matter if Jay-Z's in it. It don't matter if Trick Daddy's in it. It don't matter if 50 fucking Cent is in it. I know some motherfuckers that can outshine no motherfuckers. At the end of the day, I know motherfuckers that's more popular than no motherfuckers. So at the end of the day, they're only alpha until like a real motherfucking man shows up or a real motherfucker who got more clout and more fame and more status than they are. That's pretty much an alpha for the most part. It's a person with some status, the most status at that time in that room. Then somebody else shows up, then that person has more status, the most status in that room at that time. Then another person shows up, he has more status in that room at that time. Like a good example of a good example of somebody that can outshine any of those rappers. If El Chapo Guzman shows up at your club, I'm willing to bet any money you're going to kick Jay-Z out of the VIP to put El Chapo in the VIP. It's just facts. It's just fucking facts. That's typically how it is. Like a good example, you can have all the best pickup artists in your club. The minute El Chapo shows up, them pickup artists ain't shit. Those pickup artists ain't shit. And the sad part about it is, what people don't realize about El Chapo is he's actually a Sigma male. He's a Sigma male. That's typically how that works. Like, El Chapo is a Sigma male. Hell, the Zimbata is actually a Sigma male. But everybody fears him and scared of him because they know what he can do. Them two are some serious Sigma males. They will fuck some shit up, and you would never know they fuck some shit up. Or they'll fuck some shit up, and you'll know they fuck some shit up. That's typically how that works. And that's pretty much how it is. You can't be something. You can't be something or fake like you're something that you're not when you're really not. Because at the end of the day, there's always going to be that person. It's basically like what they say in boxing or they say in running. There's always going to be that person that's out there that can beat you. That's going to be 2 seconds faster than you, 5 punches faster than you, hits 5 punches harder than you. They're always going to be that person that's going to do that. You see what I'm saying? And it's just shit like that that just blows my mind. Now people will say, well, Sigmas ain't shit. Well, Genovese was actually a Sigma male. El Capone and Gotti, they were alpha males. You see what happened to those guys versus what happened to Genovese. Genovese never really spent a day in jail. El Capone ended up dead and spent some time in jail. And John Gotti actually went to jail. Like, think about that. Alphas can go to jail. Sigmas never go to jail. Matter of fact, Genovese actually died of old age. Never seen the inside of a cell. If he did, he pretty much was just in lockup for a hot second, and they pretty much let his ass out, basically. for pictures. He pretty much was in lockup for pictures and like waving hi to everybody and waving bye to everybody. That's typically how that works. Genovese's a Sigma male. Pretty much most of the heads of the commission, when it comes to the Italian mafia, let it be the real Don or actual people, they're all Sigma males. They're not alpha males, they're Sigma males. Because alpha males need attention from other people and validation to actually be the boss for the most part. Those are like all the people that are running around beating people over the head with baseball bats and shit like that for the most part. Those are those people. That's pretty much all it is. Those are those people. Those are alpha males. They got to answer to Sigma males. That's pretty much how that works. Alpha males got to answer to Sigma males and criminal organizations. And the sad part about that, the only time criminal organizations, only time when people actually got to answer to an alpha male is usually means that's the beginning of the end of that criminal organization. That's all it fucking means, is that's the beginning of the end of that criminal organization. That's all it is. So all these people that talk about this, that, and the other, you're basically one step away from your organization being ended. And somebody coming up, propping up better than your organization. That's typically how that works. He eventually took an L for being an alpha. Now, had he played it like Genovese and how you should play it, because I think what La Cosa Nostra actually stands for, it has some angle where basically it's shadowy figures, basically. You're supposed to be in the shadows if you're the boss of a mafia, basically. That's specifically how it's supposed to work. You're not supposed to be out there bombastic, flaunting, basically, if you're the boss of a mafia. You're supposed to be behind the scenes. People like him fucked up what the Italian mafia is, basically. I'm not saying anything bad against them, but I'm willing to bet any money if you talk to anybody in the mafia, they'll tell you that nigga bought too much heat to us. They'll tell you that in a heartbeat. That nigga bought way too much heat to us. We're not supposed to be out there like that. We're supposed to be behind the scenes, and we're supposed to be like that we don't exist, basically. That's typically how that works. So anytime you see a man out there acting a fool, he's probably not the boss. He's probably like the underboss or the under captain or the compo, basically, of the mafia for the most part. He is the person that you see in public. That's the person that you're supposed to see in public. The actual boss of the mafia, you don't see him. You don't know it's him. You don't know who he is. He could be the old man playing chess at the park. He could be the lady. He could be the lady watering her flowers. I mean, that's typically how it's supposed to work. It could be anybody. It could be the cab driver that picked you up this morning. It could be the Uber driver that pretty much dropped you off and picked you up. That's how that's supposed to be. It could be any fucking baddie. That's the boss. You're not supposed to know who the fuck the boss is. And the minute you know who the fucking boss is, you know you got some snitches among your ranks. That's how that's exactly supposed to work. That's exactly how that's supposed to work. Nobody's supposed to know who the hell you are unless somebody's snitching on your ass. And that's when you got a clean house. But but I will like to say this. I don't suggest any crimes or committing any crimes. But typically, if you are in a criminal organization and shit like that's happening in your organization, and you realize that somebody knows of you or know who you are, you better start talking to motherfuckers in your chain of command, because shit's off. Somebody done rolled on somebody, somebody's talking to somebody, and somebody got drunk or got high and opened their mouth a little too much. That's typically how that works. But I digress, and y'all have a good day. I done carried this. No, not the Uber driver. Basically, that's pretty much what it's supposed to be, basically. You're not supposed to know that they're the boss of something, basically. That's pretty much how that works. But y'all be blessed. Have a good day. I done carried this podcast a little too long. But y'all have a good one. Till next time.